Hey there, I just wanted to make a short little video to give you a heads up, help you to be aware to look out for something that I was informed by my FRA inspector for myself to look out for, and I wanted to pass this on. Yeah, this week I had my FRA inspector came out to do his annual inspection of my place, and while we were talking, he said, I just want to make you aware of the fact that the FRA is getting a lot of complaints all across the U.S. of rail tank cars in particular, not just the high pressure cars like I get in, but regular general purpose tank cars like the DOT 105, which is one of the most popular DOT tank cars out there, that they are having a lot of problems with these cars coming out of shop, and they are not right. They are either missing some parts, or parts that are been put on, or things that have been checked. They're not being double checked or triple checked. Tank cars with loose bolts, missing fittings, missing other little parts, are just coming out. He said the complaint is across the U.S. that the quality of work coming out of the majority of the shops is really dropping off. And he advised me to be aware that cars coming out of the shops are not to be expected. You know, he said, just don't have the attitude that just because a car has come out of shop recently that it's probably in really good shape. He said, just treat that car like you would any other and do a very thorough inspection on it when it comes in and look for it. Because even if it comes from a shop and somebody filled it and sent it to me, if I don't catch something and I let it go back, I'm liable as the last person that touched that car for any issues that were not dealt with. So I pass that on, this information on to some other people in a meeting that I was in, and just make them aware of it. And I'd like to share that with you. Just be aware that the FRA is acknowledging that there are tank cars coming out of shop that are not 100%, and that we need to inspect them and look at them very carefully and make sure that if anything comes down that isn't right, either fix it ourselves if we can, you know, if we're authorized, if it's something that we're allowed to do. Otherwise, document it and either get an MRU out or send it back to another shop, or do whatever your company policy outlines. And while I was in a meeting, when I was sharing this, somebody else from another terminal sent forward 2 short videos of a car that they ran into just this year. And I do not have permission to share these videos, so I'll just describe it to you. This car showed up at a propane terminal, and they opened up the lid to go take car readings. They removed the plug from the sample line valve, open up the sample line valve, nothing. No product, no pressure, nothing. Then they move over to the thermometer well cap. They begin to unscrew the thermometer well cap, and they hear pressure hissing out. So the first time they did it, the way it was explained to me, the first time they did it, they just closed it right back down. And then they had to investigate a little bit further. So carefully, they backed it off, and it went, and on the video you can hear it, it starts hissing, and it's just hissing propane vapor only for about 1 second, almost 2 seconds, and then it just begins to fan out and spray propane liquid very aggressively. It's just really just shooting out, because I forget who it is, it's either MGM or Midland makes a, the pipe nipple that's welded into the top of the pressure plate or threaded into the top of the pressure plate for the thermometer well. It has a series of little vent holes right around where the O-ring is, and it was shooting out of those vent holes, and so they tightened it back down. Fortunately, the two men involved that discovered this are both highly experienced and extremely safe operators. So they always follow their company policies and procedures, and they don't take chances. That's just part of what they learned never to do. So when they came across this, they were on full alert and they handled it extremely well. No one got injured. There was, outside of the video that they shot and the initial bit of vapor that came out, there was no product loss. So there's currently now an ongoing investigation, an internal investigation, a company investigation, and eventually it's going to involve an FRA investigation to figure out what the problem is. Based on the service dates of the car, and as far as anyone currently knows, the car was last in service, last in a shop about 7 years ago. So it may have been put into a shop and not documented or something. Nobody really knows because it's still being investigated. The running hypothesis is that when this car was last in the shop and they were assembling the valves in the top end of the pressure plate, they swapped the sample line valve with the pipe nipple and cap for the thermometer well, so that what should have been that liquid line coming up for the sample line valve, the only thing stopping it was the top nipple and cap for what was supposed to be a thermometer well, and they put the sample line valve over the thermometer well, so of course there would be no pressure, no product coming out of it. Nobody really knows. Just want to throw that out there for your information, for your own safety. Continue to just encourage you to continue to just do everything with an attitude of just being aware. Just try to keep your eyes open, your ears open, and your senses alert. Because prior to them opening them up, based on what they said, they had no indication that there was anything really wrong with this car. So whatever was really wrong with that car, why it happened, I won't know. I may never know. I may never get involved in that part of it. But somebody eventually is going to get into it because it had the possibility, it had the potential to be a serious problem for somebody if somebody had not been paying attention or gotten in a hurry or just something, you know. It's just a good thing that the men that caught it were the competent operators that they are and kept everything safe. So just want to put that out there, encourage you to continue to look for that stuff. So hope this is helpful. Thank you.